stand up for Kohi, Iori and the others gave up a hard-won opportunity to attend a mixer with girls. This day during physics class, the teacher assigned them a physics experiment. However, Iori and the others found the experiment too simple and were completely uninterested. Seeing this, the teacher changed the experiment on the spot, requiring them to personally participate and determine at what angle a pendulum would just barely miss hitting their groins. If they couldn't calculate the result within 4 attempts, they would fail the course. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Everyone knew the first to attempt the experiment would likely become its sacrificial lamb, so they all began making excuses to avoid going first. Eventually, the group decided that Kohei should be the first, reasoning that since his target demographic was middle school girls, this would be doing society a favor. With no prior experience, Kohei unsurprisingly became the first casualty of the experiment, suffering a heavy blow. As a result, he demanded to choose the next participant naturally, his best friend Iori. To reassure Iori, Kohei claimed he had done a similar experiment before and even presented his old lab report. With this reassurance, Iori confidently stepped onto the experimental platform, unaware that it was all a trap. Kohei's report had been deemed completely wrong by the teacher back then. In the end, Iori also fell victim to the experiment. However, he wasn't entirely without gain. He noticed that the formulas in Kohei's report were actually correct, but there was a calculation error in one part. After recalculating, he quickly arrived at the correct answer. But when it was time to conduct the experiment, Yamamoto realized that Iori and Kohei had falsified the data. He understood that the two had no intention of letting anyone off the hook, but it was too late. Both he and Nohima also fell victim to the deadly swing. Of course, they had no plans to let the teacher who came up with this experiment off either. Through some smooth talking, they tricked the teacher onto the experimental platform. The teacher wasn't worried, as years of teaching experience had made him memorize the correct answer. However, he didn't expect that Iori had secretly added a weight to the end of the pendulum. In the end, the teacher too met his fate of suffering. The next day, the diving club went to the suburbs for a training camp. On the way, Iori and the others shared their favorite music. When it was Seisha's turn, everyone noticed that her playlist was filled with various sounds of water. Iori teased her for being weird, which upset Seisha. In response, she played a song Iori had composed back in middle school. Iori immediately threatened her to stop, but Kohei and Dana interfered. With Iori's embarrassing music on loop, they soon arrived at their destination. Imagining the wonderful moments the training camp would bring, Dana vowed to make this a highlight of her college life. To her surprise, what awaited them wasn't a fireworks festival but a test of courage. Following the instructions, Iori and the others split into 2 groups and set off separately. Soon, Aina and Seisha heard Kohei screaming from the other group. They thought he had seen something terrifying, but it turned out he was just heartbroken seeing an action figure hanging in the air. As they walked on, Seisha and Aina suddenly noticed a white figure ahead. Dana mustered her courage and asked if it was Azusa, but instead of answering, the figure charged straight at them, sending Aina running away in fear. Meanwhile, Iori and Kohei also encountered a white female ghost. Unlike Aina and Seisha, they would rather believe they'd met a real ghost than suspect someone was pretending. Iori and Kohei, noticing the ghost's sturdy thighs, realized their guess was correct. After the test of courage, everyone except Sin suffered varying degrees of psychological trauma. Fortunately, the subsequent bonfire party quickly healed them. Dana fantasized that a boy would take her hand and ask her to dance, but just then Iori actually invited her only to ask her to play a game of limbo under a bamboo pole. Halfway through the party, Iori and Sin found a spot to rest. Unexpectedly, Sin lost her balance and accidentally kissed Iori on the cheek. She'd immediately rinsed her mouth with alcohol, only to get drunk and pass out shortly after. Iori had to carry her back to the dorm. On the way, Sin suddenly mentioned that Iori still owed her favors and demanded he start working part-time to save money. Iori mistakenly thought she wanted monetary repayment, but Seisha denied it. It turned out Sin had been bothered by Iori's inability to go diving with them before. She explained that if he didn't save money, he wouldn't be able to join the next diving activity and would again be left with regrets. Right after saying this, Sin passed out from the alcohol. Early the next morning, Iori went out. Touched by Sin's concern, he decided to work hard at a part-time job. However, at the job, he ran into Sakurako, the girl he had splashed with alcohol before. It seems Iori's part-time life won't be smooth sailing. What will happen between him and Sakurako next? Follow my channel to get the latest updates on new anime episodes as soon as they drop.